Whenever the laws of any state are broken, a duly authorized organization swings into action.
You most likely know how Police Blotter Facts Friday works. All week long, we ask you to send in your funny stories from your local daily or weekly newspaper or the internet concerning the local constabulary. Send them to grace@howiecarrshow.com, grace@howiecarrshow.com, or you can still fax them to us, 857-284-8864. And at this time, every Friday evening, we read the best Police Blotter Facts Friday entries of the week. The best stories, the funniest stories about your local police departments. And we're sponsored every week by Piantadosi Bakery, and Joe is with us today. Joe, how you doing?
Great, Howie. Thanks for having me. Nice to be down here in Florida with you. It's beautiful.
I'm sure you'd much rather be back in Massachusetts.
In the cold weather and snow.
It was 11 in Wellesley this morning when I woke up. Brr.
Winchester wasn't far behind that number, I'm sure.
So Grace is here, and Joe and Grace are going to go back and forth for a while with their entries here in the Police Blotter Facts Friday contest. Grace, what do the winners receive this week?
The winners are going to get a copy of your wonderful book, Plug Uglies.
That's the book that people can get if they want to go this weekend down to the 110 Grill in Plymouth and sign up to have dinner 2 weeks from tonight with Grace, right?
Yes, Howie, thank you for bringing that up, because the 110 Grill in Plymouth, if you go there and you sign up for the Win a Dinner with Grace, you can also get a free Plug Uglies. But I also wanted to mention it because Joe Piantadosi from Piantadosi Baking Company has a connection to the 110 Grill.
Yes, you do, Grace. Thank you very much for mentioning that. They're great people. They're a great customer of ours and serve our bread. So we appreciate
and that's
So another reason to
Exactly.
go down to the 110 Grill in Plymouth on Commerce Way or any of the 110 grills.
Yes, and I will be picking the winners February 25th, and we'll be having dinner there February 26th. And if you know Joe Piantadosi, you know that if a restaurant is good enough to serve his bread, they are good enough for me. I will be enjoying that meal and perhaps a cocktail if I'm feeling indulgent. Okay, so I'm going to start, and then I'm going to pass it over to Joe. Here is our first winner, starting off strong on this Friday afternoon. Naked.
This is a winner?
Oh, no, sorry. Runner up.
Grace, you're confused. Have you already had a cocktail this afternoon?
Who knows? Who's to say? No, not before the show ends. Naked burglary suspect accused of vandalizing Hannibal Restaurant.
Hannibal Restaurant? What's the specialty? Cannibal offerings or elephants?
Here's the thing. It's weird because it's Hannibal, Missouri, but they keep calling the restaurant Hannibal Restaurant. A Missouri man has been arrested after police said he broke into a Hannibal restaurant and caused extensive damage inside. Brian Griggs of Hannibal was arrested for burglary after employees found him shortly after 5 a.m. Thursday lying naked under insulation inside the Becky Thatcher restaurant.
Ooh, hope it wasn't fiberglass.
Must have been itchy. Yeah, to be in that insulation. Naked, I would assume.
He forced himself into the business and caused extensive damages while inside. I think what happens when people go into restaurants, if they're naked, they don't just destroy things. They take out the food, and it gets very messy. That's what I've gathered in my years of doing this job.
Grace, you know who Hannibal was, right? The Carthaginian general, famous guy, took the elephants across the Alps, beat the Romans like a drum for a long time.
Of course, I'm just happy you knew who he was.
And that was Hannibal. His father was named Hasdrubal, and his brother was named Hamilcar. But people don't know this, but he had another brother. You know what his other brother's name was? Howie.
No. Really?
H's.
Yeah. Hasdrubal, the father, Hamilcar, Hannibal, and Howie, the brothers.
Howie, you're not going to believe this, but I actually didn't know any of that. But I do know Hannibal Lecter.
I'm sure you do.
And that's why I wouldn't want a restaurant in Hannibal, but that's just me.
Unless they
All
serve
Joe.
Chianti, right? Unless they serve
Yes.
Chianti with, right?
Fava beans.
Exactly.
Joe, you're up next. Go ahead.
Okay, let me read this here. So, a Vermont roadster, a gentleman was driving a car, and
I gave him this one, Grace.
It's a great one to read. He was exercising his right to freedom of free speech when he flipped off a state trooper. So Gregory Bombard claims police busted him And
He was bombarded by the state police after he gave him the finger. Bombard was.
they towed his car, 2018, during a 2018 traffic stop because the trooper claimed he gave him the middle finger.
So this is a court case now, Grace. I thought about making this the poll question. Should you have the right to give a middle finger to the cop?
Absolutely. I would not give a cop the middle finger, but I will defend with my life your right to do it, Howard.
I think it just leads to big trouble. I would if I were in the Vermont legislature, I would vote to make that a misdemeanor, not a felony.
I would just like to say I got pulled over once for just having Howie in my passenger seat and having his face wrapped around my car.
Well, that's because I'm a B-rated talk show host, Grace.
That's true. I heard that. I heard the news, Howie.
And it was in New Hampshire. It was in New Hampshire where that was said, that terrible slur on me, where you were stopped as well, Grace.
Wait, what did Billy Bulger call you? Was that better or worse than B-rated talk show host?
Is this savage here?
All right, I'm up next.
Hannibal Lecter, he said that. Huh?
Yeah, he did. Dunkin employee sends knife-wielding robber fleeing after running to kitchen and grabbing a bigger knife. An employee of a Dunkin in Brooklyn reportedly managed to scare off a knife-wielding robber by walking back into the coffee shop's kitchen and grabbing an even bigger, more intimidating knife.
What did he have, a butter knife or something? How big are the knives at a Dunkin' Donuts?
Well, they have to cut the bagels, and sometimes those bread knives can be pretty big.
I can attest.
Yeah.
Yes, Joe would know more than I would. The incident took place Saturday at around 10:30 a.m. when the would-be robber walked into the Dunkin' and asked for a free cup of coffee before whipping out a knife and demanding all the cash in the register. Okay, I'm not trying to judge Howie, but I kind of feel like, especially now when people use the app on their phone and people use a lot of credit cards, you're not getting that much out of a Dunkin' Donuts register.
I hadn't thought about that, but you're probably right. On the other hand, though, it's New York, where all these robberies are going on. So probably all the other cash registers had already been rifled. So this was the last place in the neighborhood.
Right.
But I love these people because this Dunkin' Donuts employee, his sister, who also works at the Dunkin' Donuts, was there. And instead of giving the guy anything in the cash register, he said to his sister, go call the police, went back, grabbed a huge knife and came back out with it. Kudos.
I thought you were going to say gave him some munchkins or something. You know?
Some donut holes.
Right, exactly.
All right, Joe, you're up.
Okay, I'm up next. Can't see that well, unfortunately. It's the Florida sunshine down here. Let me see. A 26-year-old woman named Brittany Somers is charged with a felony aggravated assault charge. She used a deadly weapon after throwing a toad at her husband, who she says was cheating on her. And I guess she chased him around the house, and they hit him with a hairdryer. And this was all captured on video. So
of course it was. Everything is captured on video.
I know. How do people do that? How do you know you need the video?
They had the video of the fleeing cop today. Did I lose my sound? I got sound?
Yeah, we just lost Howie there for a second, but this is
Am I okay? I'm okay now. I'm okay.
We'll wait for him to pop back on here, which I know he will.
Yeah.
Oh, Howie, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
We're back.
Okay. You
No, I don't know if am I still back?
Yeah, you're still back.
Okay.
I still hear you. You guys aren't going to believe this story. It's a real throwback. So you remember Suzanne Somers?
Sure, from Three's Company and the Thigh Master.
Yes,
machine
the
too.
Thigh Master. So this was a crazy story. She was doing a live stream in her house in California, and she was doing a makeup Facebook Live. So she was showing people how she uses her organic makeup line. I mean, she's getting older, but she's still, making that dough. And while she's doing the demonstration, she hears a noise, and she says to her husband on the live stream, "Is somebody here?" And he says, "Oh no, I think that's a frog," because they live in California. So I guess that's like a thing where frogs are around. And then she hears the sound again. And so she has friends coming over for dinner. So she thinks it's her friends downstairs. So she goes, "Oh, they must be early." So she yells downstairs and says, "Hello, are you guys here?" And there's a man, a nearly naked intruder.
Why did I think that he was going to end up being naked?
But wait a minute, nearly naked isn't fully naked though, right?
She wasn't sure if he was wearing like a bathing suit or, some sort of banana hammock. Am I allowed to say that, Taylor? Yeah. Okay, so in a live clip, Summer suddenly is seen asking her producer husband, "Is somebody here?" Hamill says the noise is just a frog. She says, "I think I heard a voice." She goes downstairs. The guy says, "I'm here." She realizes the guy is definitely not one of her guests. She says, "I was
You heard her voice.
terrified."
You know what the voice said? Where's the booze?
No, Howie, you know what he said? She said, I was slightly terrified over there for a second. And Somers asks, no, he says that. And she asks why. And he strangely tells her there were ghosts following me. That's never a good sign.
It could have been Mr. Roper, though, for his company.
And then he says that the croaking that she overheard was actually the devil. And I've always liked Suzanne Somers. I give her so much credit. She stays perfectly calm. And she says, how did you get here? And he says, oh, he's like explaining things. And she says, you shouldn't be here. This is our house. And she looks wide-eyed at the camera like she's on Three's Company. Like, whoa. And then she calmly gets the guy to leave.
The show must go on, Grace.
The show must go on. Exactly, Howie. So,
All right.
all is well.
Okay, so that's we're going to take a break here, and we'll be right back with the winners and a couple more of the runners-up. My friends at Eden Pure have done it again, and as long as supplies last, the Thunderstorm air purifier, which I'm holding up with my right hand, will come with a free copy of Kennedy Babylon, which I'm holding up in my left hand. That's buy one Thunderstorm air purifier and get Kennedy Babylon for free. That's in addition to the $10 in savings Eden Pure is already offering on the Thunderstorm. It's been months and people still ask me if it really works. Not only does it really work, it works in hours. Our sales rep came down to Florida and there was a funky smell at her Airbnb, but it was no match for the Thunderstorm.
Hey, Howie, I just got 2 thunderstorms and I'm so excited because my fiance cooks a lot of steak.
Yeah.
And steak smells good when you're first cooking it. And then after a few hours,
Right.
you're like, oh.
I understand.
And I just turn on the Thunderstorm and it totally goes away. It's like it eliminates any odor. It's fabulous.
And you could take the Thunderstorm with you because it's very small and you can fits right in your suitcase and you don't have to worry about smells anywhere. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm is so small you can hold it in your hand as I'm doing, plug it right into the wall. The best part is you don't have to replace any of the air filters, which of course saves you time and money. If you're like me and you're watching very little TV these days, there's no better way to pass the time than to curl up with my book, Kennedy Babylon, either volume 1 or volume 2, which I'm holding up right here. I don't know which one you get, but they're both great reads. And the Eden Pure air purifier at the same time will handle your pet, kitchen, tobacco, or damp basement smells. Go to EdenPure.com, put in code word HowieBook. The free book is while supplies last, so grab yours today. EdenPure.com, code word HowieBook. Shipping is free. With the couple more runners up maybe and the winners in our weekly Police Blotter Facts Friday contest. Who sponsors Police Blotter Facts Friday every weekend, Grace?
Well, Howie, thank you for asking. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Joe Pantadozzi, but Pantadozzi Baking Company, celebrating over 100 years of baking excellence since 1916, is the sponsor for both Police Blotter Facts Friday and Hate Mail Monday. And we thank them very much for always sponsoring one of the audience's favorite segments.
All right. So you got any more runners up, Grace?
Yeah, I want to do this runner-up really quick. New York City man gets stuck on side of building after allegedly stealing 8 pints of ice cream. Go ahead, Howie.
Who was the victim? Nancy Pelosi?
Howie, when I read this story, what is your first gut response?
What flavors?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to say what brand.
What brand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Haagen-Dazs ice cream, which is, it's pretty
not as good as Nancy's.
No, I'd go. I would
Jerry's.
actually, despite the political aspect, I would go for Ben and Jerry's over Haagen-Dazs too.
How dare you?
Nancy's brand is about $12 a pint, I think.
Right? No, it's gelato, right?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Brigham's, honestly, but I'm old school. I'm classic.
Hoodsies are pretty good too.
Friendly's is good ice cream too, especially on this saddest of days.
Yeah.
When the founder is no longer coming down for breakfast after.
Oh, you just meant because they're closing. Is that true? Is he no longer coming down for breakfast?
Yeah, he died prematurely at the age of 106, I think.
Oh,
I'm sure it's going to be listed as a COVID death.
I love Friendly's the Monster Mash.
Their fribbles were good.
Yes, so good, Joe.
Yeah, as long as you had 2 hours to wait for it to be delivered to your table. Go ahead.
And wait, can I do one more runner-up before I hand it over to Joe for his winner?
Go ahead.
Elderly woman hit boyfriend with hammer for leaving TV on. A 74-year-old Arizona woman was arrested for allegedly slapping her sleeping boyfriend on the head with a hammer for leaving the television on. Marilyn Ann Kepler is accused of assaulting.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Where's the hammer?
He fell asleep during a Matlock fest. He and Joe Biden were both watching it in their respective locations.
This is the craziest part, though. As they approached a local hospital, because after she hit him with the hammer, he convinced her to take him to the hospital.
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer my boyfriend.
As they approached a local hospital, the woman allegedly pulled a gun on the man, who said he was able to wrestle it away. Talk about a bad night for this dude.
She escalated it pretty quickly, didn't she?
Grace, how old was the boyfriend?
74.
She's 74.
She was 74. The boyfriend also 74.
Oh, wow.
Match made in heaven. All right, Joe, give us your winner, and then I'll do mine last.
Okay, the winner that I have is no jail in a cinnamon roll rage case. I like that cinnamon roll rage, being bread related. On February 8th,
We're giving you a role play here.
Right. A Florida man who threw a large
Of
rock,
course he's from Florida.
had to be Florida, through the window of a Wendy's after discovering that the fast food joint was no longer selling cinnamon rolls. He was convicted of 2 criminal charges, but has been spared jail time according to court records.
People get really upset about that, Joe, and you probably know this when you discontinue a product.
Right. And he was very upset. He pleaded no contest.
When the Wendy's in Natick, where I live, killed somebody with a bad hamburger, nobody threw a rock through the window. This guy really took it seriously.
Howie, people were more patient back then. That's the thing.
Well, he was ordered to stay away from the Key West location of the Wendy's store, and he could have no contact with any of the restaurant's people, owners or employees. Additionally, Tyrell, that's his name, must pay more than $4,300 in restitution for damages caused to the eatery.
Wow.
So,
all right.
I'm looking at his mugshot. I don't think he's got $4,300. I think it went for alcoholic beverages.
Yes.
Okay, guys. Last winner here. Naked woman takes car with children in back, drops them off, and speeds away.
She put the kids in the car and she was naked and she drove them somewhere.
No. This is why it's so crazy. A woman was naked on the side of the highway. Another woman, who was probably too nice for her own good, pulled over to see if the woman was all right. When she pulled over to check on this woman, the woman, scurried away and ran into her running car and hopped in with her grandkids and drove away with them, and then dropped them off at a Danby Jiffy Mart. And Howie, the first thing I thought of was, you don't pull over. You call the cops, tell them there's a naked lady,
Right.
but you don't pull over.
But she pulled over, but she had to leave the vehicle, right? Why would you pull over and get out of the vehicle?
How old was Granny, by the way?
Granny, that's a very good question. I don't think they identify Granny by name, so they left her out of it. But the woman who was naked was 28.
All right, Grace, have a good weekend. I'll be back for one more segment.
Happy Valentine's Day, Grace.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks so much for sponsoring this segment. Happy Friday, everybody.
I'm Howie Carr.